Welcome back to the Fitness, Wellness, and Longevity Podcast. Today, my guest was Jason Patton. Jason Patton is a firefighter from Riviera Beach. He is also a father. He is also the vice president of Fire Department Coffee, which is a coffee company designed specifically for first responders and military, but available to everybody every day. He is also the creator of Comedy CPR that combines comedy and CPR certifications. We sat down and had an awesome conversation ranging from what's going on with the 9/11 Foundation all the way to how you can better educate yourself about household fire safety and CPR and all things in between. This was an amazing conversation. Jason is a very longtime buddy of mine, and it definitely shows in this podcast. Guys, if you like today's podcast, please subscribe, rate, review, and enjoy my conversation with Jason Patton. Welcome to the CrossFit Delray Beach recording studio here in Delray Beach, Florida. Jason Patton, how you doing, buddy?
I'm doing well. Doing very good.
It's been a little while since we got to sit down and chat, probably a few months. And since then, you planted some seeds a little while back when we were talking over dinner. I think that was probably back in November or something like that.
Yeah, that was a while
and
ago.
Things continued to change for you for the better. Fill us in on what's going on recently there, Mr. Jason.
Life is insane, man. I'm telling you. It's funny. I was walking in here, and it's been a while since I've been in the gym, but just so many memories. Because I started here, 2000? You started here 2008?
2010. So you probably about a year after.
Yeah,
like 2011, right?
2012. Yeah, something like that. Yeah. So just so many things, man. But no, I just life's insane, dude. I started the Fire Department Chronicles. Let's see. 2016 or so I did that. 2015, 2016, did the funny videos for firefighters, and had a little bit of traction, shut it down for a bit, but it started to take off a lot more recently. I put a pretty good video up about a month and a half ago. I just hit 100,000 followers on Instagram, and then I'm to almost 300,000 on Facebook. So
that's awesome.
It's insanity.
That's
man.
Pretty crazy, man. When you originally had planned to do the Fire Department Chronicles, did you have any awareness that this might blow up? I mean, I precede that by saying that I think, I will be the one to say, quintessentially, you could put this, a little asterisk next to this, that I always knew that you would blow up.
I appreciate it.
I always knew, because I'm like this. He's so funny. He's so charismatic. He's so talented. It's just a matter of finding what it is that he likes to do. But did you anticipate anything in terms of this magnitude?
No. I was, because when it first happened, it was. The first video I put up was just a real basic video. It's just stuff that we were messing around on the at the station, and it was a good time. We had a good time.
Yeah.
But then I put up this video. It was the paramedic bitching call, or the mating call, which is bitching. Like, it's just true. Like, every paramedic on the face of the planet bitches about everything that happens. So it got 100,000 views in 8 hours, which was monstrous at the time, because I had about 9,000 followers.
That's insane.
I had almost no followers. So it started to move, and then I shut it down for a year because we got a new chief at my fire department.
Would that chief not appreciate you fucking around in the studio, in the station?
Actually, I got it wasn't even him. He didn't care. It was the people around him that were like, well, this guy's getting us raises. He's doing good stuff for us. We want to make sure that we don't screw it up for him. Because what they said, and it was totally true, they're like, well, what if he goes into a city council meeting? He's asking for a 20% pay increase. And they're like, yeah, we like what you're saying. By the way, is this being recorded? And puts it up on the big screen. Like, oh no, this might be a really bad thing for us.
Oh my God.
So I shut it down for a year, and then after about a year, I was like, let's fire this thing back up. And it just took off. I never thought I'd see the numbers that I'm seeing today. I mean, the video that I put up about a month and a half ago, it was just a funny video I found online. I do all my original content, but I found something that I thought was funny, and I think today it hit 35.8 million views. That's insanity, bro. It's a girl stuck in a swing. And you read the comments, and 60% of it is German. I'm like, where did this video go to? It's so funny, man. But yeah, it's insanity.
It's what for me. Obviously, it's not shocking, and it sounds for you. You're like, yo, I'm really surprised by this, but. Is this becoming more and more normal for you in terms of your success, in terms of your video making, your message? Did you feel like that there was going to be something I feel that people are most successful when they find a niche and no one else is there yet.
Yeah.
Like this definitely felt like one of those spots where like kind of similar things are going on in terms of like parodying different professions. But in the fire department world, there really wasn't anybody to step in this magnitude. Would you agree?
Yeah, no, 100%. That's I contribute that to probably 95% of my success was that I just happened to walk in there at the right time. There were other people doing this, but
Okay.
it was more like one guy was creating videos where he was singing, he was parodying songs. So it was funny, but it was 3 minutes long, 3.5 minutes long. You know, it's some people might not appreciate the music, that kind of thing. So I happened to walk in at the right time. But I've also been in the business for 11 years, so I know all the inside humor, you know. I know all the stuff that we deal with all the time. There's probably 15 or 20 police officer influencers out there, but there's no one else. At the time when I started, there was no one else that was doing what I was doing.
For sure. And that I think is the biggest part about that is that like you have experience. You can speak to people. There's no bullshit there. I mean, I look at a lot of the stuff and I'm like, I really don't get that. But I imagine if you, and then I look at the number of likes and views, I'm like, and shares, I'm like, damn, this probably resonates humongously in the, first responders, EMTs, those in the fire department, that kind of stuff. You mentioned that like the longer stuff may not be as as trendy for you. Where have you probably had a learning curve along this process? And the reason I mention this is because there might be someone out there right now who's listening like, hey, how do I get my foothold in my niche?
Yeah,
I'm a teacher, I'm a karate instructor, whatever it might be. And I'm like, I'm looking to kind of find my way in a similar path. Like, was there certain things that you picked up along the way that like allowed you like, oh, now in retrospect, damn, I wish I was doing that earlier.
100%. People have the attention spans of gerbils now. Like they don't have an attention span. And in fact, like on any Facebook or Instagram or Twitter or whatever, you can look at the insights of your videos. And anyone who is out there listening to this, look at your insights sometimes. Look at the 3-second views versus the 10-second views. I had one video, it's got about 1 million views. I think it was like 800,000 3-second views, and then maybe 400,000 10-second views. I mean, there is a monstrous drop off. That's like you have to capture people in the first 3 seconds.
Wow.
It's literally. I mean, think about that next time you're watching something pops up. Count 3 seconds in your head. If you're not entertained within 3 seconds, you're probably skipping it. So it has to be the first 3 seconds, and then you're captured. So yeah, I mean, that was huge for me to figure out. Most of my videos are under a minute because that's a lot of them I like to put on Instagram.
Yeah, of course.
But most of them are under a minute because that tends to be about where people want to stop watching a video.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, just think about what the platform actually is. It's like you're sitting on a toilet.
Yeah.
Right. That's most people, or they're at a stoplight.
Yep.
And they're like, oh, I want to watch a quick little video here. But it's amazing to think about 3 seconds because you're like, hi, I'm Sean LaFlock. Done. Dead.
Yeah.
That's it. You've already lost it. Maybe a little bit more. Hi, I'm Sean LaFlock, and I'm at Cars. That's it.
Dude, I'm
That's all
telling
you're gonna get.
That's why, like the first part, we just did another video. I flew up to Chicago. We did Chief Needs Coffee 2.0. And the opening scene is what happens at the end. But it's because it's the punchline. It's really funny. But the opening scene grabs people like that. And that's what you have to do at all times. Like you hit the nail on the head when you said that when people talk about, like, I understand the humor, so I can spit out and resonate with people immediately because I've literally dealt with the same thing. I don't find some police officer humor funny because I'm not a police officer. Teacher humor, I don't get some of it. There's this guy that does dentistry humor, and some of it's actually funny, I could see, but some of the stuff I'm like, I don't get any of that. And I mean, it's you always have to be individual to who you are. The only piece of advice I can ever give anybody is if you're trying to do this, don't try to do it. Don't try to get 1 million views on your first video because you're probably going to do something really stupid. And the second you do something stupid, it's out there forever, man. Like you gotta think long term.
Now, let me ask you this. Was there any videos early on where you're like, this is going to be coming back to me some point in my career?
So I had 3 basic rules. my chief gave me 3 basic rules, and I from the day that I started it, I said I'd always keep it PG-13. I would never show my department. I would always keep it PG-13. There never be any cursing, and I wouldn't do anything stupid. And that was, nothing unsafe. This way, if anything ever comes back, they can't come to me and be like, you shouldn't have done that. It could always be. But yeah, we actually we made a video. Went through the whole thing. Took us about 3 or 4 hours, and it was Facebook likes and prayers. And it was all about how, exactly. Yeah, that face. So it's like...
So it's a similar Anthony Jeselnik kind of concept.
Yeah, it actually was a funny video, but it was one of those where if I put it out, how are people going to take this?
Yeah, you might see it as mean-spirited a little bit.
100%. Because, look, I'm all for... You're in a bad place, something like that. Hey guys, please keep in your thoughts or something like that.
Yeah.
Our joke is always that the reason it came up was the reason this video and the essential oils video came up, because I was strolling through Facebook one day, and this meme comes up, and it's something like, I can't believe this lady said this, and it said, hey, my husband's having a heart attack right now, or I think he's having a heart attack right now. What essential oils will help? It's like, your husband's gonna die, dude. What are you doing?
This is one of those nitroglycerin.
So it's like, that's why we made the essential oils one. But the Facebook likes and prayers, kind of the same thing. Like, hey, I'm dying right now. Can I get some likes and prayers? Like, no, you need to call 911. Like, so we went to put it out, and my thought process, and it should be everyone's thought process, if at any point in time you go, is this gonna get me in trouble? Like, don't put it out. Like, not worth it.
Yeah, for sure, man. It's awesome that you're here too, because it's very apropos in the world of first responders. One of the viral videos that just went out, speaking of viral videos, was Jon Stewart speaking to the I believe it was the Congressional Committee on like basically re-upping the funds for the first responders from 9/11.
Yep.
And I would love to hear your take and your perspective on it. For those of you who don't know what I'm talking about, and obviously the release of this will be varying, so they might be a little dated now, but obviously Jason's here, and I'd love to get his word on it. But there was, after 9/11, actually, you probably know more than this about this than I do. So, Jay, you want to kind of riff on this a little bit?
I mean, essentially, we just, like, 9/11 happens, all the first responders respond there, and what was it, like a year and a half or 2 years that it took to clean up, or something like that?
Yeah, something like that. Well, at the very least, there was an enormous amount of people there who were trying to find people, find bodies, etc.
And they're constantly kicking up dust. Like that the dust didn't settle in the area for a very, very, very long time, especially because of the construction, so on and so forth. But all these guys flood there. I mean, the stories were unbelievable. Yeah. But all these guys flood there to pull people out, to search for bodies, to help clean up wreckage, to do everything. And they're all being exposed to, the atomized dust and all the stuff that was in this building. God knows what was in there, in the ground, so on and so forth. But they're all, like, almost every single one of them are turning up with cancer because of this stuff, because of the amount of stuff that they were exposed to. So they create this bill to help with the guys who have cancer. They create the bill to, guys have cancer, they're able to take care of them, so on and so forth. Well, of course, over time, they very quickly forget about, who these people were, who the first responders were that legitimately risked their lives, not only in the building itself, but, also to come there and help find bodies or so on and so forth. But they were going to allow this. They weren't going to extend the bill. They weren't going to continue treating these guys or taking care of the guys who have cancer. So they were very upset about that. What I really loved about Jon Stewart, I love this about him, man, because it was spot on. He looked at those guys and he's like, there's not a single one of you that I haven't tweeted out or hashtagged or just, sat on that throne of give me attention. So, 9/11, yeah, support our people. And then the second they need something, that's it.
Yeah, for sure, man. It's so easy for them to use 9/11 as, in the words of Jon Stewart, football.
Yep.
You know what I mean? They're like, oh, great. I get to, talk about 9/11, thoughts and prayers.
Yep.
And they don't really give a shit.
No,
because if they really gave a shit, they would be like, yo, this is a non-issue. We have to do this.
Yeah.
This is such a non-issue. And I mean, I'm from New York, and you know, it's something that's close and personal to me because I knew a bunch of friends. Their fathers, were first responders. They came in from Hicksville, and you know, an hour and whatever just to get in there and start because they knew.
Yeah.
They knew this was one of those things that's like it's not about me. It's about not only those who are in the building, but also all of their friends and people they know or don't know who are suiting up just like them, who the building collapsed on them.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know what I mean? You know, when we talk about these disasters and stuff, do you guys think about those kinds of things? I mean, obviously we're in a little different situation down here because we don't have these huge sky rises. That being said, there are larger sky rises that are coming up, especially in Miami and that kind of stuff. Is this something that you guys kind of consider?
No, I think, you know, it's like we want to make a video for, we're putting together a video right now for 9/11 with Fire Department Coffee. But the video will not have our advertising on it. You will not even know that we made it unless you just happen to see where it was shared from. But like we don't 9/11 should not be something that people profit from. You should never profit from that. I mean, that was a national travesty. It was a horrible event that brought, I mean, in one small way, it brought America together, and I think it made America stronger. And you know, obviously because people came together to support each other. That was the one time, one of the only times I'd say in U.S. history where it didn't matter if you were black or white or green or orange or what language you spoke. For sure, we all came together to support each other. But no one should ever profit from that. I hate seeing when 9/11 comes around every year. So these random places that are not in the United States are selling shirts that have 9/11 memorial stuff on it. Wow. Yeah, you see it all the time. And people, the first question you ever see in there is how much of this is going to support, you know, the guys from 9/11.
Yeah, for sure.
None of it. They're putting it in their pockets.
You know, that you know gives it especially nonprofit organizations these days. Like there are, you know, watch groups that kind of like assess the efficacy of the nonprofits, but you definitely got to do your due diligence because, you know, you might be saying, oh, wow, I'm supporting the troops, I'm supporting first responders. And then you take a look at one of these groups or these watchdog groups and they're like, oh, yeah, 30% goes to the actual first responders or families, et cetera. You know, which is, you know, it's hard to not sound like be cynical in these situations, you know?
No, I would be the first person to say I hate charities. It's really mean to say, but I freaking hate charities because exactly that. Like you give them $1,000 and 10% goes to the victims. Sure. So so I'm the vice president of Fire Department Coffee, and then the president, Luke, he's also an active firefighter. When we first started working together, I said, you know, we both wanted to start a foundation. So we started the Fire Department Coffee Foundation. We find guys with cancer or disabled veterans and stuff, and we pay for their we buy them trucks, or we pay their mortgage for the month along with their car payments. Like the money that we get, it's 10% of all of our proceeds go out of Fire Department Coffee go into the foundation itself, because that's what should be done. You should be taking cash. Most of these guys don't need a nice shirt. You know, they need their mortgage to be paid. They need to have a place to live. So we started doing that. But the other thing we do is we find other foundations that may not have as much funding or as much recognition. Exposure. Exactly. And one of them is the Tommy Collin Foundation. Guy I met up in New York. His brother died in 9/11. And I'm doing a stair climb on September 11th in Texas. And we raised like $2,500 to give these guys.
Awesome, man.
So, but
that's sick. Are you going to die during the stair climb?
That is very possible. Because I said for every $500 I raise, I add an additional 10 pounds to my gear. So I've got
shit.
Yeah, it's gonna be bad, man.
Oh baby.
I have to add 20 or what's my math right now? 10 pounds. It's 50 pounds of gear. Or 50 pounds I need to add to my gear.
And how many steps is it?
It's 110.
Flights, right?
110 flights, yeah.
Holy shit.
Yeah, so this may be the last thing that I ever do. So enjoy this podcast,
guys. And that's in September, obviously, on 9/11.
Yeah, September 11th out in San Antonio.
Yeah, so if you're in the San Antonio area and you're listening to the Fly Fitness podcast, you definitely should come down and watch Jason die.
This big fat piece of crap upstairs and die.
So, you know, now that you're enjoying some fame, I would say, and obviously some huge success, How do you balance that with, staying humble? And I know this is one of those things that all of us, myself included, are like, yo, man, I would love to be famous one day, man. If I could just be famous, it'd be sick. People would recognize me, man. I could just high five people, maybe women, maybe money, whatever. You're probably the closest person that I can sit down to and say, okay, this person has some relative fame to them. They're like, an F-list celebrity, but now.
I don't know if I'd give F.
Maybe not on the list yet, but you're at least recognizable in some capacity.
In the fire EMS, yeah.
So like, how do you balance that out with, having an insatiable ego and making it about you?
It's funny because last night I went shooting with the girl I'm dating, and this guy comes up to me as we're shooting, and I'm in the middle of shot. I come off the range, and he's like, "Yo, you're Fire Department Chronicles," and we laughed, we talked for a minute, and then she's like, "Dude, everywhere I've gone with her, someone at some point in time has said something to me," and I went to FDIC, which is a huge fire conference. I probably took 400 or 500 pictures, signed some stuff, and people are like, "Do you ever get tired of this?" I'm like, "Absolutely not," and I'll never get a big ego because you and I are old enough to know that it doesn't matter how popular you are. You do one stupid thing or just the society or people just get tired of your stuff, and then you no longer exist. So enjoy it while it's around. Be humble. You're only popular because people like who you are as a person. The second they don't like who you are as a person anymore, they don't give a shit about you. You legitimately may be the worst actor on the face of the planet, but if people love who you are, awesome. Like some of the actors that are constantly coming up in films, they're horrible, but people
it's true,
but they love, but they're like
Keanu isn't the greatest actor, but he's like a national treasure right now.
Keanu is the freaking man, bro, because he's the most humble human on the face of the planet. He's hysterical. I just saw him in there was a new movie. He's like a Asian thing.
Not John Wick.
No, not John Wick. I freaking love.
Okay.
God, I can't even think of it. But John Wick and the Matrix and John Wick are really good. Besides him murdering everyone in the movies, the range is
the nicest murderer ever.
He is, dude. I'm telling you.
I would love to be murdered by Keanu Reeves.
I would kill to be murdered. No, but Keanu Reeves, he rides the train. I saw this video. He was on a plane. Or he was getting ready to get on a plane. The flight got canceled. So him and 10 other people chartered a bus. This guy could have hired a freaking private car.
Of course.
But he got on a van with a bunch of people that they rented, and they drove 5.5 hours together, stopped off at the convenience store. He's reading the labels to everybody. He just seems like that dude, bro. He doesn't give a shit.
Yeah.
And he just seems like a cool guy. So anyone that gets any kind of fame, I'm telling you, the second people think that you are an egotistical prick, they will no longer want to deal with you anymore.
So how do you check yourself?
I just it's a daily thing, and I'm a firefighter. At the end of the day, I'm just a firefighter. That's just who I am. I've always been humble. I don't think I'll ever get egotistical. I'll never. Not to mention the fact, if I've met people like that who want to charge for a photo or charge for an autograph. I would never do that, and I don't care how popular I am. The second you get to that point, no one gives a crap about you anymore, and you no longer exist. So it's all dependent on how much people like you.
For sure. It seems like you found a nice little balance of having fun and getting your success, but also kind of paying it forward. And it's almost not about you, right? When you look at a lot of the stuff that you're doing, it's it wouldn't be funny if you was just you, but it's the fact that it's a part of a community.
Yeah.
It's poking fun and parodying things that a lot of people experience. And in probably some ways that it gives them some level of relief to be yo, there's other people out there also are sick and tired of schlepping people at 3 a.m. for foot pain. You know what I mean?
No, and that's, the humor. So the biggest issue I think anyone has had up to this point of trying to be funny in this field is the EMS humor in particular is super dark. Because just some people tell jokes and I'm like, yo, don't ever say that in public because we're all gonna get killed. No, I think it's normally so dark, but you can find a PG-13 version of that, and that's what I managed to do because people want to relate to the humor. That's when you read the comments, 90% of the comments are, dude, that's so true. Like, oh, I relate to this so much. I literally said that last shift. Like, it's the same stuff that we see all the time. When I first started doing it, like, I was getting message after message of people saying, bro, you have no clue how good this was for me after a bad shift. Like, we see a lot of bad stuff. We just do. And 90% of the time you're fine. You're like, whatever. It's just part of the job. But everyone, you get that one where you're like, man, that's not okay. Like, and you either talk about it, or a lot of times what happens is the guys want to shut down. They see a video, they laugh, it opens up the conversation, and then the guys as a group are like, yo, that guy we just saw that was like beheaded, that wasn't okay. And then it at least opens up the conversation a little bit. They can laugh a little bit.
Aside from many professions, like I would say outside of the military, and let's say those who work in hospitals, and especially like in trauma units and stuff like that, really aren't ever exposed to the shit, right? Like you said, decapitations, real human suffering, that kind of stuff. Does it affect, like, obviously in your perspective, but also, educating us on it? Like, how does it affect first responders, specifically firefighters, all this stuff? Does it compound over time on them? It has to, right?
I mean, you have what we call the career enders, where something so severe, so tragic happens that you can never recover from it. There are those, but they are very few and far in between. We had a guy who was mad at his girlfriend, went in and shot all 5 of her kids in the head while they were sleeping. Like, you don't recover from seeing that. We had a couple guys who needed to take 2 or 3 months off after that, because it's just insanity. Because of course you relate. You relate to that because you have kids and stuff. But what they say now is that it's the small compounding effects. So it's that paper cut that it just keeps it's just one small paper cut, but it's over and over and over and over, and it's over time, and then eventually you just can't handle it anymore.
Yeah, for sure.
So yeah, it's the 3 a.m. call. The 3 a.m. calls suck, but my biggest thing was never seeing dead people. I don't care. I mean, a dead person that's dead, they're dead. They don't care anymore. They're dead. But with the thought process, is suffering people that's really, really bad when you watch people suffer, or when guys that are just fresh dead. I had a guy who was shot in the head, and he was literally shot 4 minutes before I got there. And I'm just staring at this dude in the eyes, and I'm like, man, you were literally talking 5 minutes ago. Like, you doing what I'm doing right now 5 minutes ago, and now you're dead. Like, I think it's those little things over time. So now we're encouraging guys like, hey, you get back from a call, even if it's a 3-minute conversation, like, dude, you okay, man? Like, that was an odd call. Like, yeah, I'm all right, man. It's just a little weird to see somebody dead like that. Oh, okay, so on and so forth, a little bit of a conversation. But just kind of that small de-stressing over time is what has to happen.
Absolutely. And then, I'd be remiss to mention, the video that you had done about a month ago for, I believe it was for, mental health awareness, especially in males. Do you care to speak a little bit about that?
Yeah, it's that same. It goes along that same line. The number one killer in first responders is machismo. I think in men, period, we can see from people. I just watched a video of a guy jumping off of a hotel roof into a pool. Oh my God, dude, you're nuts, man. But it's that machismo thing, right? Yeah. So
it makes you feel uneasy.
It was bad. No, but like you watch. That's the biggest thing is the machismo. Look, it is a simple fact. If you want to get into my business, or especially military and police officers, you have to have a thick skin. You need to be able to take crap because it's what we do, especially being a police officer. But that doesn't mean that it makes you less of a man to speak. There was a very long period of time, where people did not want to talk about what was going on around them because it was perceived as weakness. To say like, bro, there were 3 dead people in that room. They all died from CO. They were like, come on, bro, this is what we do, man. Like, we see dead people. Like, yeah, that doesn't mean you can't talk about it, dude. I had a call. I had 3 dead people in one shift. It was a 32-year-old woman that overdosed, which was crazy to me because she was so young, followed by a lady who was in her room. She was dead for about 6 hours before I got there. She died from cancer. She was completely naked when I walked in the room. She had actual tumors coming out of her breasts. So I know that this lady suffered for a very long time before she died. And the last one was a lady that was just waiting at a cross light. She was getting ready to cross the street, and kid stole a car, hit her, cut her in half. So I'm literally staring at half of her body, and I remember the exact thought in my brain was, I shouldn't be seeing this. Like, this is not normal, man. So we encourage people, you got to talk, man. You got to talk. And I started working with this program called CREW. They're an extension of Banyan treatment. And it's all about that. It's all about talking to people. And you could tell the impact, dude. That thing got about 500,000 views, which is insanity for that type of video. And I must have received no less than 300 direct messages, and there's probably 3,000 or 4,000 comments on this thing. And everyone said the same thing. Bro, I'm so glad somebody finally said this. Like, this needs to be said.
For sure, man. And I think that it's great that in this realm, there seems to be more and more people stepping up. You being an example of like, yo, man, it's okay to not be okay.
Yes. Yes.
And obviously there's a lot in the military now, and ideally, you know, in my world, in my perfect world, that becomes normal, regardless of whatever it is you're doing. Like, maybe you had a stressful day at work and you're just like, you know what, I could just, you know, bury this down and just watch another sitcom or have another, you know, glass of wine or whatever and just forget about it because I'm okay. And you know, if I'm not okay, then, you know, everything's terrible, right?
Yeah.
But, you know, I think it's almost one of those trickle downs where, like, you get people in the most extreme worlds, you know, like you say, first responders, military, etc. And that kind of normalizes things a little bit to start having some conversations. But also, I also understand that, like, yo, you getting caught in traffic is a traumatic experience for you, but seeing someone get their body cut in half is a little bit different to have perspective on things, right?
I mean, perspective is always, the girl I'm dating, like, we talk about that, like, how perspective is definitely, like, it's crazy. Like, you're like, my day's, like you said, the traffic thing, like, my day sucks, man. I got caught in traffic. I was in there for 2 hours, that kind of thing. And then you see the guy who's missing both his legs. You're like, maybe my day's not that bad. Like,
yeah.
I mean, perspective is always nice. But at the same time, like, dude, if you had a really shitty day, man, even at work, when I was a mechanic, bro, I was paid flat rates. I would show up to work sometimes and I wouldn't make anything the entire day. I would literally sit there for 8 to 10 hours and make $0. Like, that's a bad day, you know? So I would come home and, I mean, I think it's society has a huge problem with taking any like saying, hey, it's okay to not be okay, and then exploding it into this monstrous thing about, you know, transgender this and blah blah blah. And it's like, dude, look, people are just saying, like, it's okay to talk, like, it's okay to say, man, hey, I need to talk about this.
I think people hijack a lot of these movements to make it about them.
100%. And I don't care who you are. I don't care, you know, your sex, you know, what your orientation, if you're transgender or binary. Like, I've never cared about that, because, dude, that's who you are, man. If that's who you want to be, then great. Good for you. People are mad about gender neutral bathrooms. I'm like, it's great. Now I don't have to wait to go into the guys. I can go into either bathroom. Like,
for sure.
It ends up being better for both of us.
Except then you realize that women take forever in the bathroom. If you've ever gotten off a plane and be like, oh, I gotta go to the bathroom, see ya. And then if you're traveling with a woman, like, all right, I'll be there in a half hour. I'm like, what? I'm just going in and out. They're like, no, yeah, the women's room is literally from here to Starbucks.
Yeah, it's so bad for women. I can't tell you how many times I've been in a club or in a restaurant or something like a nightclub, and you walk, the guys are like in and out, and these poor women are just sitting there.
I don't know, man. What, they got to come up with a new system.
There was someone told
maybe
me,
urinals for women, just stand there over something, right?
That probably could work. I don't think that still wouldn't work.
Yeah, you know how pissed women would be like, we're just gonna stand over a hole? The hell is that?
I saw the weirdest thing ever, bro, and it was something similar to that. It was strapped to a portion of their body, and then it just came out their zipper, and I was
yes, I think I've seen that too. It's like, oh, all road trips are now solved. I'm like, no, not at all. It's gotten more confusing.
I tell you what, the woman that is using that is probably she's the smartest person on the face of the planet. She's like, you guys.
She has tons of friends. Let me tell you. This is the person who can't ask to go pull over. Like, hey, can we go to a rest stop? Like, I got this, guys. Let me shove this tube into my pants.
No, but I think the world would be a much better place if people just let people who they are, man. Like, who cares? Like, the entire society does not need to change to your belief patterns. You can just, as long as someone else's beliefs are not truly infringing on what you believe, it shouldn't matter.
For sure.
If you want to believe your religious stuff, dude, go for it, man. Just don't crap on other people. Like, you are who you are. Have your group of people and leave it at that, man.
Yeah, and I think this leads to a deeper discussion about like what affects you. Mm-hmm. And I think I showed you this before, and I think we've talked about it, but like being offended doesn't give you special rights.
The offensive, that is probably my number one argument with people. Like, dude, you're offended by, thankfully, the content that I put out. Exactly, we talked about the hopes and prayers. Like, I don't want to offend people.
For sure.
So I very, very rarely see someone get offended, and even if it is something that they might normally get offended, they understand it's coming from a good place. Like, I'm not trying to crap. Essential oils, dude. Like, no one's offended by that.
How many people feel like, you know what? I'm an essential oils salesman, and this offends me. Unfollow.
And it was funny because there were people that were like commenting. They were like, I actually love essential oils, and I'm not offended by this because they could see like it was the emergency portion. Like, don't use essential oils when you're dying.
Course.
Dude, I'm the first person to speak out against westernized medicine. Like, I think westernized medicine is a crapshoot.
Yeah.
Like, nobody knows what's happening. How many people for years they've been telling people take aspirin. If you have a possibility of a heart attack or anything like that, strokes, take an aspirin a day, so on and so forth. About 8 months ago, they came out. They're like, stop doing that. We're pretty sure it's giving everyone cancer. Like, Jesus, man. you know?
We were for certain this is the way to do it. Don't do that anymore.
No, dude, I'm telling you, bro. And then you probably you can relate to this a little bit. So cardiac arrest, we use epinephrine. Epinephrine is it helps with the contractility of the heart. It helps constrict the veins and arteries, and helps get the heart beating better, so on and so forth.
Gives you a hell of a buzz too.
Yeah, exactly. So for years we've been using this, right? We've been using this to help increase blood flow throughout the body, or help increase the blood pressure, so on and so forth. Well, now they're saying don't do that because it's reducing the amount of blood flow to the brain during cardiac arrest. So you're reducing their chances of survival. Bro, this is one of the oldest drugs that we've been using, and now they're like, we might stop using that because we're pretty sure it's killing people. Like, what is happening?
Dude, that's insane.
It is so.
So are you just gonna start coming up to people and be like, I really don't know what to do anymore? I'm just gonna wait.
every time the American Heart Association comes out with a new study, I'm like,
Jesus. Yeah, like what can we do? We throw our hands up a little bit, right?
And I mean, look, I understand that in a way it's good. Like, we need to continue advancing medicine. Like, we need to continue doing stuff. But the problem is that westernized medicine is not being driven. It's being driven by some science. We all know it's being driven by money, man. Like, who's got the most dollars in this?
Yeah,
you know?
like, epinephrine lobby is dropped out. Not using epinephrine anymore. But you know what, though? I think it also speaks to something else as well in terms of our best intentions, right? And that doesn't mean just being a first responder, but that means helping people in general.
Yeah.
Like, I can tell you right now, I've tried to help a lot of people in my time. Mm-hmm. And the way that I tried to help people, let's say 5 years ago, I would never do today because of the things I've learned over time.
Yeah.
Like, I don't try to change people now.
Yeah.
Right? I give them awareness. I say, hey, man, like, I see this. Do what you want with it. And even like what I am right now will never be what I'm going to be in 5 years in terms of trying to help people and put my best foot forward. So it's like, there's a lot of people who just put up their hands and are like, well, I'm just not going to help anybody because you never know. Like, well, that doesn't help either. Yeah.
You gotta. What is you fail 100% of the things that you don't try. Like,
for sure.
You got it, bro. If you're not trying, if you're not doing something in life, then what's the purpose? I mean, some people just want to sit back and relax and cruise through life, and that's great, man. Like, go for it, do what you need to do. But I think you should, if the foundation of your life is not built on at least attempting to improve someone around you, then I think you're doing a disservice to everything around you, kind of thing.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So in your everyday life, do you kind of take stock of like, what am I doing right now to improve people's lives? Obviously, it's a little easier for you because you're a first responder. So you're like, by default, I'm helping people. But like, obviously, maybe that gets old. It doesn't get old after a while. Be like, I when I was in my first few years, I'm like, I feel like I'm making a difference. Yeah. Now, does it feel like it's kind of lost its luster?
No, I mean, you do get jaded at some point in time, just because. I mean, every first responder does. You get jaded, and not because look, 70% of our calls are like non-emergent calls, like toe pain, stuff like that. But No, we understand, man. Like we're making a difference, and it's important for people to have hope. And you know, if God forbid you are calling 911, one of my friends, Matt Sheridan, said it to me one day. I was talking to him about something, and I got aggravated about a call, and he goes, "Just remember, bro, a 911 call to you may be completely different to a 911 call to somebody else. You know, and in reality, if somebody's calling 911, it's most likely the worst day of their life. I mean, there are always 911 abusers. It will always be like that, but you know, these people, they don't know what to do. So they call us. So yeah, you can get aggravated and jaded, but you always try to keep it in perspective. That's what we're here for, you know.
I was talking to somebody the other day who had to get their family member transported, and the thing that they were crossing their fingers and holding their breath about was the cost of the transport.
Yeah.
And when they got the bill, it was $3,500.
What?
And I think they said like half was going to be covered by insurance. What's your perspective on what to me seems like an enormous cost for
$3,500?
Oh shit! Like, should I risk taking this person to the hospital? Like that's, you know what I mean? And people are like, well, you know, I see kind of both perspectives a little bit, but like, you know, if it's an emergency, you got to. But like when people are like, yo, man, I might not be able to pay my mortgage.
That's crazy, dude. Most transports are $800. Mm-hmm. The average is around $800, and then if there's anything done to them, you know, in routes or anything like that, or if you have to use specialized services, it also depends on the insurances, bro.
Sure.
If the insurance deems it as a non-medical call, then they'll up the price, or they'll only pay a certain portion that you have to pay.
How does that happen?
It just depends on the call. So
but in terms of like this enormous cost that gets handed down directly to the person who's having an emergency.
That's the problem.
Was it always like that?
I don't know a lot about billing.
You're not an historian?
No, I'm not an historian. I don't know a lot about billing. Look, if the insurances aren't making their money, then they're going to raise the prices, so on and so forth. I know that if they deem it as a non-medical call, like if we don't. Number one, we're putting everything as an ALS emergency call. So, but it's all up to their interpretation at that point and what our thing says. But yeah, I mean, from what I've always understood, I thought it was $800, but it depends on like what they got done to them, so on and so forth, where they got transported to, if there are any medications given. You know, some of our medications are $400 or $500 if we give it to you.
Yeah. Well, you're here, and it'd be cool to see some or to learn a little bit more about the intricacies of not only transport, EMS transport, but also some of the things about being a firefighter and actually fighting fires. So what are some things that the average person may not know about a typical fire in a household?
Biggest things in what and we push this all the time is close all your doors at night. So when you go to bed, close every door in your house. Fires go through something called flow path. Flow path it's oxygen demand and oxygen. The fire trying to pull oxygen into itself. So you see all these pictures of people where it's like, this is why you close your door, because an entire house burns down and the entire interior of the house is burnt, and you open up like the child's door and it's perfect inside.
Oh, wow.
Because it can't make its way in there, you know, and there is a fire barrier. So you should be closing everything. Most people, I'm going to be off on this number, but it's like, 3 out of 5 people, 4 out of 5 people die in fires. They die about 5 feet from the front door. Because they're trying to make their way out and they die from smoke inhalation. Okay. So the whole, stay low thing, that is absolutely, if you're doing anything, don't crawl under beds because it's difficult for us to find you. Try to just stay low within the room itself. Close your door, if you need to shove something underneath the door itself, whatever you need to do. But the closer you can stay to the ground, there's fireworks through thermal barriers is what it's called. The hot heat rises. So the roof maybe, 1,000 degrees. 800 degrees or something like that. The floor can be 50 or 60 degrees.
Okay.
So always
stay low.
Yeah.
If need to be, create that barrier and put a towel underneath the door so you're not filling the room up with smoke.
Exactly. Yeah. Whatever you need to do to keep if you hopefully have a phone, call 911, let us know where you're at. Don't freak out. The number one thing I tell people is if you're calling 911, man, stay calm. Like if you are screaming at the top of your lungs. I went on this call, bro. We get there, it goes for a pediatric seizure. So febrile seizures are kids when they're young children. The febrile seizure happens from a rapid increase or decrease in temperature. It's normally rapid rapid increase. So they have the seizure. It's fine. It's very rare that they die from it or anything, unless there's like they fall in the process. Kid has a seizure. We pull up on scene. The mom is literally running back and forth, screaming at the top of her lungs in the driveway, just at the top.
Shit.
Absolutely not helping anything. So we go inside. We're like, at first we were like, holy crap, the kid is dead. Like, we're running inside. We get in there. The dad's holding the kid. The kid's starting to gain some consciousness, and he's like, he's fine. I was like, all right. So we get him on the stretcher, bring him out. As I'm walking out, and I got my paperwork in my hand, the lady stops me. She goes, the lady that was just screaming 3 seconds ago, she goes, thank you so much. You know, I took your CPR class about 6 months ago. I was like, you failed. You failed the class. Like, all you got to do is stay calm.
Let me see your card.
Yeah.
Go back again.
100%, man. It was just, you know, just staying calm is it, dude. But, yeah, you know, the house is the basic stuff, man. If you have a grease fire, don't put water on it. You will blow that thing across your entire kitchen the second you do that. It's gonna be really, really bad. You know, if you you know, the extinguishers, the number one thing, if you have a pot that's on fire, put the freaking lid on it. You put the lid on it.
Yeah,
and
there was one thing that you told me long ago, like the 3 things that a fire needs. Can you go over that?
So basic, it's so the fire, it's a triangle essentially. So it's oxygen, fuel, and then a heat source. And then they upgraded it to the fire tetrahedron. So it's, you know, oxygen, fuel source, heat, and then a constant chemical reaction.
That's
kind of thing.
the geometry lobby in the U.S. You know, in the U.S. government trying to get in there with their tetrahedrons. All right, so you know, the biggest epidemic down here in South Florida, I think everybody knows, is overdose.
Yes.
Any kind of knowledge you could share with us with that, if you do come upon someone who is overdosed, if you're maybe you're in a position where, oh shit, like, you know, I've taken something, what do I do? Like,
Yeah.
Can you kind of help us out with that a little bit?
So CPR. That's pretty much like the number one thing, man. The Palm Beach County Dispatch has this thing called no go. So you call 911, and they're gonna ask you 2 very simple questions: is the person conscious? No. Are they breathing normally? No. Go. Start doing CPR. We want people to do CPR. I own that comedy CPR company, and that's the number one thing that we push out to people: put your hands in the center of their chest and start pushing. If they don't say "ow," then, you know, keep going. If they do say "ow" and you want to practice, just put your hand over their mouth and just don't do that. No, but you know, like CPR 100%. Like, go all the way. Like, we want you to start doing something.
Is CPR effective?
Absolutely. It's effective if it is done by bystanders. It's very effective if it's done by bystanders.
So not done on yourself?
No, yeah, absolutely not. Doing it on yourself is not going to work. No. No, a lot of people are blown away by the statistics when it says, like, does fire rescue save lives when it comes to CPR? No. Like, that's a plain simple fact. Anyone that goes against that they're false. They're not. It's not true. You know, if fire rescue is showing up and initiating CPR on somebody, their chances of survival are most likely around like 10%, maybe probably closer to the 5%. But if bystanders begin CPR or shock someone with an AED, the shocky things, if you shock someone with an AED, depending on the situation, they can have upwards of a 90% chance of survival because the things work. They correct the problem. But a lot of people literally, they sit around, we walk in the room and they're pointing at the dead guy going, it doesn't look good. Like, no, yeah, you're right. It doesn't look good. Do something.
Couldn't be more right than that.
But you know, the whole overdose thing, you know, if you are going to help someone, just and it looks like an overdose, just be mindful of what's happening. Look down on the ground. Make sure there's no needles or anything like that.
Yeah, that's one that most heroes don't realize first, is like, check the situation.
100%.
If someone's lying down there, it's probably not just they fainted.
Yeah.
Maybe they got electrocuted. Maybe they got fentanyl all over their body and you're about to put your lips to them because you didn't read the CPR card anymore and say we don't need to go mouth to mouth.
Yeah. Or you're just into that.
Or you're just kind of into that dead necrophilia.
No, you know, it was funny. I was literally talking to the girl I'm dating this morning, and we were talking about, like, a lot of first responders, and a lot of people had this ill-conceived vision of people that overdose and die, and they're like, well, they had it coming because they did this to themselves. And my response to that is always, the only difference between that guy and the person who is having a heart attack because they've eaten like crap for the last 40 years is time. That's it. This person, their poor choices are no different than that. You're eating sugar. You're eating, you're drinking 6 sodas a day. You're eating like crap. You have 4 brownies before you go to bed. Then you wake up and for breakfast you have a piece of pizza and a Pop-Tart. Like, you're no different than that person. The only difference is your consequences just take a little bit longer. That's it.
For sure.
Then that's why you should never, not to mention the fact, dude, I heard the most disturbing thing. It was a ridiculous stat. It was like 40% of people that become addicted to opioids, it's from a dentist. It's because they go to a dentist and they have something pulled. They prescribe them Percocets, and they say most people within a week of taking opioids are officially addicted.
For sure. And I think it's every time that you actually get prescribed it or something like that, it becomes higher and higher statistics of actually becoming addicted. So in a world of like chronic pain where people are like, oh, I got this, every single time they write a script that you're getting just pushed closer and closer to
100%.
Being addicted to at least something. Are we seeing the same surge right now?
No, it dropped off immensely. I went to this conference and they had these charts going up, and it was, again, my years may be off, but it was like the beginning of 2017, and it is literally a spike. You're watching just this huge spike of deaths and opioid-related illnesses and stuff. Huge, keeps going up, and you're talking 8 to 10 overdoses a day in my area in Riviera. Delray's looking at 15 to 20 a day, something like that. Just ridiculous. And we were some of the highest, but the highest were in like the Midwest, that kind of thing. A ton amount of people dying, and then it literally drops off to almost nothing. It was one dealer in Miami that got busted, and when he got busted, the numbers dropped to almost nothing.
So was he lacing everything with fentanyl or something like that?
It was
or some
fentanyl.
Kind of like elephant tranquilizer, some bullshit.
Yeah, the carfentanil was a big thing. They said the carfentanil wasn't as bad. It was the fentanyl that was the big thing. The issue with the fentanyl, it wasn't the fentanyl itself. The problem was they weren't breaking this stuff down to like an atomized level. They weren't breaking it down and mixing it chemically together so everyone got the same dose. They were just like dumping this stuff in there. So you got 1,000 milligrams, I got 2 milligrams. So this guy got 40. Dude, Narcan, normally 0.5 milligram will wake you up. I gave a guy 10 milligrams of Narcan before he even started breathing again. Like that's how bad this stuff
So
was.
Basically 20 times the normal dosage.
100. I mean, and that's, dude, I've heard even higher doses.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. I know that they were saying in some news reports that fire departments were having trouble keeping it stocked, right?
My department, we were out of it a lot of times, and then they raised the price of it, and we won't even go into that. But yeah, I mean, you understand, man, I've been in this business for 11 years, and up until 4 years ago, I might have ran 10 overdoses, maybe.
Wow.
And my department was going through... We were ordering Narcan on like 21-day cycles. We went through like 190 vials of Narcan.
Wow.
Yeah.
And obviously, since the crackdown down in Miami, it seems to have leveled off a little bit.
Yeah.
Are there other kind of systemic things that you're continuing to see as a firefighter, or everything kind of like, by the wayside, and obviously those long-term chronic illnesses still being
it's always
popular?
Yeah, it's,
heart disease, diabetes related illnesses, that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I mean, you always see a spike. Flocka came and went pretty fast for us, but that was huge there for a while. And then it was the opioid overdose problems for a while. That one was really big, but that eventually...
Any zombies?
No zombies yet. But I keep saying that I think Flocka transports people to a different dimension that we don't know about, because every single one of them was naked being chased by wolves. I'm like, what is happening?
Maybe it has something to do with Flock Fitness. I don't know. the Walk of Flock of Fitness podcast, where you transport to another dimension into naked being chased by wolves. So tell me more about, we talked a little bit about the fire department coffee, but can you give me a little bit more of a deep dive into what fire department coffee is about, and where we can find it and that kind of stuff?
Yeah, absolutely. So fire department coffee, we were founded about 3 years ago. We Mainly e-commerce. We're all e-commerce right now, so we're all online. It's premium coffee. We roast everything to order, so it's not sitting on a shelf and then we ship it to you. So we make sure it's the highest quality. But we're a wholesome Christian company that believes in taking care of the people around us. First responders, we sell it to first responder stations, military, police officers, anyone like that, for $5.99 a pound, which is roughly 50% of what we're selling it normally. Because we want to take care of the guys that take care of us, you know. But we're a company that wants to be able to take care of the people around us. I always joke about the Fire Department Coffee Foundation that I want to have enough money. I want to have about $1 million to $2 million a year in the foundation just to be able to dump into people's hands.
Yeah.
Like not too long ago, those California fires, it was 30 firefighters' homes burnt down while they were trying to put other homes out. Yeah, so that would be something where I would walk in there and we would just buy them a house. You know,
that would be sick.
Yeah, I mean. And that's because I think that's kind of what. But again, we try to support everybody, but we're just a good wholesome company, man. We're looking for. We're actually talking about expanding into brick and mortars here soon, and so it's just exciting stuff. It's Fire Department Coffee. It's all about the owner or the president, Luke Schneider. He's a Rockford firefighter as well. He started just before we got together, and. That dude is so.
He must have loved to have found you.
He looked me up. Well, he just hit me up one day. He's like, "Hey, man, you want to start working together?" I was like, "Send me your coffee first."
Yeah, it probably speaks volumes because there's probably tons of people soliciting you to like do shit with them, and all of a sudden now you hook up with this guy. Probably your values are probably similar. Obviously,
Absolutely.
the product probably speaks for itself. I imagine, right?
No, like I said to you before, when he and I tried the coffee was great, so we were good on that. And then I said, because the stronger you make our coffee, the better it is, which is crazy.
Wow.
Yeah, that's good stuff. But the biggest thing I said to him, I was like, the foundation of our business needs to be helping the community. Like that needs to be the foundation of our business.
That's very cool.
And we agreed on that, and we agreed on nothing we would be putting out would be offensive. We just don't. Again, like we don't care, bro. We want everyone to be happy. Like just don't like beat people up or anything.
Who gives you the most bitching?
The most bitching, in regards to who, like what group or?
Yeah, like I know you throw some shade at the police officers a little bit. Do they kind of rib you back, or is it all fun and games?
Yeah, everybody. Thankfully, again, because I always try to keep it where if you come on my page and you're like police officers suck, I'm like,
yeah, that's a little bit.
So police officers give it back pretty hard. This guy, Officer Smith, that I go back and forth with all the time, like he's really really good about it, man. He comes out with the most ridiculous stuff. One of them, he's like, yeah, look at this new buddy breathing system. This guy has his face in another guy's underwear. And he's breathing through his underwear. It was amazing. Like, so they definitely give us the most crap, man. It's all in fun, bro. I literally, I'm a firefighter. I'm a firefighter, an EMT, a paramedic. I've done it all, man. So
yep.
Most of my videos are legitimately me making fun of myself because I do probably 99% of the stuff that I talk about. So for sure.
And the comedy CPR stuff. I've done the comedy CPR. I've known tons of people have done the comedy CPR. In my profession as not only a fitness instructor, but I'm also a high school lacrosse coach. Shit happens. I've heard of people who I know who send people out on runs. They get to the end of the building and they don't see them.
Yeah.
What happened to that guy? Oh yeah, literally his heart exploded. Or me, I know plenty of people who, at least 2 or 3, who a kid got hit in the chest with a lacrosse ball, goes into cardiac arrest.
Yep. They
rip the AD out of the thing and they run it out on the field and they save a kid's life. So for sure, something worthwhile. What makes comedy CPR different than just your regular, Red Cross kind of deal?
I mean, it's literally the same certification, the same information you get from everyone else, but with mine, you laugh, you have a good time. It's stand-up comedy. It's, if you ever think about anything that you've ever learned or the stuff that you've retained in your life, it's most likely been associated with some joy or happiness. So if I can throw a joke in there that will make you remember the number that you need to go to, like you immediately associate with that, you have a good time. Not to mention the fact that doing CPR on someone is terrifying for a lot of people. So if you like laughed and had a really good time, then you know that, dude, literally you just put your hands in the center of their chest and everyone's like, well, I don't want to hurt them. I'm like, okay, so their heart's not beating and they're not breathing. They're dead. You can't make their day any worse than it already is. like do what you need to do, man.
And I think that's something that that you reiterate during the hour to, or excuse me, the 2 hours, the 3 hours that we're working, is that like what you do is not going to make things worse.
No.
So if you think you're going to, because people get paralyzed by, oh, I don't want to make things worse. They're not breathing.
Yeah.
Maybe they may or not have a pulse.
Yeah.
Whatever you do is going to most likely help.
Unless you like pull out a knife and cut their throat open and put a straw in there, like, yes, we just made it worse. But dude, who cares, man? Do what you got to do, bro. Like, I'm telling you, like you're doing the right thing. You can't do CPR wrong. Just push hard, deep, and fast, and you're killing it. You're doing a good job.
I mean, I think we could take that in a lot of other areas there. But so, Jason, how can we get a hold of some fire department coffee?
So firedepartmentcoffee.com. You can either firedepartmentcoffee.com. You can go on our Facebook or our Instagram page. We have some hyperlinks in there. Go on Fire Department Chronicles, my Facebook. I also have a hyperlink in there, as well as the my Instagram, and then we're also doing the Fire Department Chronicles cruise. It's firefighters, first responders. It's May 1st through the 6th next year, 2020, and we are going to Mexico, and it's all going to be firefighters and a bunch of good stuff. So,
holy smokes!
Yeah, it's gonna.
That's. I'm not going to comment. We're going to try to keep this podcast as PG-13. Though I think I dropped like a dozen F-bombs during this podcast. And obviously we have comedy CPR as well.
Yes. So it's patented comedy CPR. It's patentedcomedycpr.com, or you just look up lolcpr.com and that'll ship you there as well. Yeah.
The name there.
There you go.
And before you go, Jason, I kind of just want to ask a little bit about where you see yourself and where you see this success going in the next 5, 10, 15, 20 years. Like what's your overall goal here?
Overall goal is to expand Fire Department Coffee as much as possible, along with Fire Department Chronicles. Hopefully build up the first responder community to truly laugh and have a good time and have a good stress relief and enjoy themselves. Everything doesn't have to be so serious. I mean, what's the point? But hopefully in the next 10 years, you will see Fire Department Coffee brick and mortar franchises all over the place. Everyone's welcome to stop in, have a good cup of coffee, and talk to us, man. That's what it's all about.
And I thought I saw something on the. This doesn't happen to have anything to do with the Fire Department Chronicles, but it's fire department stuff. And I know you kind of been dabbling in and maybe traveling to some kitchens around the United States. Is that something NDA, non-disclosures right now? Or can we talk a little bit about that?
No, Firehouse Food Destinations. What we're trying to do is bring real firefighters. Myself and another guy named Mark Myers Jr. He's been on multiple TV shows as a chef, and what's his name? The grocery stores one. The guy with the blonde hair.
Guy Fieri.
Guy Fieri's grocery store.
Almost like a super. Oh yeah, Guy Fieri's like grocery dash.
Yes, he's been on that.
Yeah.
He's cooked everywhere. Been a chef forever. This guy's really, really good. So he and I both active firefighters. He's out at Shreveport, Louisiana.
Oh yeah.
So we'll go around and go to different firehouses, different fire departments, and they will cook for us. He's going to be in there, talk to the guys while they're cooking. I'll be messing around with the dudes in the station. We'll be having a good time, showing them what real firehouse life is like. So
you got a lot on your plate here, Jason. Amongst comedy CPR, Fire Department Coffee. Now you got this. Can you give me the name again?
So it's Firehouse Food Destinations.
Can we find that just yet, or
yes?
Is this, okay.
Firehouse Food Destinations on Facebook, also on Instagram, and we actually need your support. We're talking hopefully to a couple TV networks right now, and just need to show that people actually want to see it, kind of thing. Which we know that they do, but the more support, the better, kind of thing.
And like I said in the beginning of this podcast, and we Tarantino it back to this point here, how we got here is, I see Jason as just a ball of energy, great intention, and super talented. And I definitely see only but success in your future, whatever it is that you end up wanting to do. You just got a magnetic personality. Everybody wants to be around you. But I also understand that you've gone through your trials and tribulations at this point, through many different things that have happened in your life. And I think that's part of it, is having that balance. And I really see some good things in your future, staying humble, being dedicated to the craft. And I think the biggest thing is paying it forward.
Thanks, brother. I appreciate it, man.
Yeah, man.
Absolutely, dude.
Thank you so much for coming on to the podcast, and hopefully we can do this again sometime.
Absolutely, man. Appreciate it, brother.
All right, thanks. And there you have it. I hope you guys enjoyed my conversation with Jason, laughed, learned something. But if you did like today's podcast, please subscribe, rate, and review. These podcasts come out every Thursday night. So be sure to subscribe and stay tuned for our next podcast of the Fitness, Wellness, and Longevity podcast. Take care, guys.